Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mary Love Alex. Welcome to the year two of Smart Women Invest, brought to you by First Metro Asset. Join us in this quarantine episode, but before we begin, we'd like to thank our frontliners for doing what they do best: the doctors, nurses, people from the bank, food industry, everyone risking their lives just to make sure that everything still flows smoothly for us. Salamat po. Saludo po kami lahat sa inyo. Okay, today we are happy to have three inspiring women who also happen to be rock stars of their generation. So they will give us insights and relevant tips on how to make a difference, be empowered, and brave this challenging time. So first, let me introduce to you Miss Matek Villanueva, a prominent
The
name
baby
in
boomer.
marketing. Yes, the marketing, PR, and advertising industry, a lecturer, a health buff, an avid golfer, and a mother, most importantly. So yes, you get that right. She never switches off. Hello, Miss Matek.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry. I always say good morning. Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay. Next, we have Michelle Aventajado, a dedicated mother, a career woman who also maintains a blog which reflects many of her insights and advocacies, an inspiration indeed to a lot of women. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you for having
Hello.
me. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you. And the millennial in the group who juggles her career, studies, and has her own business. So talk about obsession with being busy. Hello, Hershey Neri.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Good
So happy to be
afternoon.
here.
Yeah, so how are we all doing? We are all in isolation.
I
We're
think
all
by
yes,
the video you can tell we're not looking so bad.
yes.
Yes, I would have to agree on that one. So
Yeah.
thank you for taking time to be with us. It's an honor to have all of you this afternoon as we pick up tips while being, yes, in isolation. So we are all in quarantine, obviously. Most of us are at home and need guidance. So our world has definitely changed a lot this past couple of weeks. Has it been 3 weeks? Yes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
18,
We
right?
Yes. Mm.
19,
Okay.
day 19.
yeah.
Who's
I
counting anyway? I don't even know the
no,
date anymore unless I look at my cell phone.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yes. My first question is, according to the World Economic Forum, women are most affected by this pandemic. So they stated that the women comprise the majority of health and social care workers and are on the front lines of the fight against COVID-19, and that they still bear much responsibility at home. So do we really feel the effects of the coronavirus differently? Would like to answer 1st.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah, sure.
actually,
Mm-hmm.
the death rate is
Mm-hmm.
higher for men as
Mm-hmm.
compared to women. But
Mm-hmm.
I do agree that women feel it differently
Mm-hmm.
because as women, we have a lot of roles to juggle. There are mothers, there are caretakers, there are homemakers. So I have a friend, she's a nurse. So she's a woman and she's a nurse. So she goes to she's a frontliner,
Mm-hmm.
and then she works all day. And when she comes home, she has a baby. So she
Mm-hmm.
takes care of the baby and she
Mm-hmm.
also breastfeeds the baby.
Okay,
So you
nice.
have all these layers on top of you. And
That's a
then
lot.
also as women, we have biological needs, like for example, sanitary napkins. You
Mm-mm.
have to replenish that every month. And that's actually one thing that parang yung mga relief packages, it's always food, it's always canned goods.
Mm-mm.
But oftentimes you forget that women also need sanitary napkins. So there's a lot of needs that you have to think of. So
Completely
that's why
valid.
I think,
Mm-mm.
yeah.
Mm-mm. Yes. Oh, Miss Matek, would you like to add something to that?
Oh well, I maybe because I'm the oldest woman here. There's just another layer of care, which I think comes naturally with women. We are
Mm-mm.
very nurturing and therefore, na tumaas ng lalo yung level of taking care.
Yes,
So because
agree.
now there's a thing called coronavirus, which is something that new, and
Yes.
therefore tumas lang nila. I just think it's I'm not putting it down.
Mm-mm.
It's natural to women to just naturally be very to be
Mm-mm.
protective, and now it's like tripled up.
Mm-mm.
And And I think women have learned. I think we're wired this way,
Mm-hmm, mm-mm, mm-mm,
to react this way, and
mm.
therefore, after a couple of days, we're like it's the new normal for
Yes.
women.
Mm-hmm,
That's how I feel about it. So, kind of like I said, I don't know what date it is anymore. I don't care because that's not the important thing right
mm-hmm,
now. So the important thing is just making sure that everything, uh, we all get past this healthy
mm-hmm.
and healthy, strong. That's it. That's the only thing that's in my head right now. So
Thank
yeah,
you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Miss Matic. I love how you said it that what's important right now is just to stay healthy.
yeah.
Mhm. Michelle?
When you actually asked us earlier when we signed in
Mhm.
um, how we're all doing, my first response I wanted to say, we're all healthy.
Mhm.
Praise God.
Yes.
We're
Mhm.
all healthy. But in regards to the question of how women handle things differently and the
Mhm.
stresses that women carry, I think
Mhm.
that from a mother's perspective, a mother, a
Mhm.
wife, a
Mhm.
daughter who's also worrying about parents who
Yes.
are in the most at risk population
Mhm. Mhm.
for coronavirus and COVID.
Mhm.
So, um, my dad said many years ago when I first got married that the
Mhm.
woman is the backbone of the family.
Mhm.
And our families, even our friends, the people who we surround ourselves, people take cues from us.
Mhm.
So for us to maintain and make sure this is our focus, we're going to make sure everyone's healthy, whether we're doing that by preparing meals or we're
Mhm.
doing that by, adjusting quickly so that the kids can also see this is the new normal. We're just going to get
Mhm.
through this as a family. Um, Following our lead,
Mhm.
the family, and sometimes even, even in a relationship with a husband and wife, there
Mhm.
are times where my husband leads, and then there are
Mhm.
times when I lead. We take turns in terms of um, where we will shift our energy or focus or even just moms reminding our kids we have to be grateful, we have
Mhm.
food on the table that I just prepared, we have a roof
Mhm.
over our heads.
Mhm.
um, kind of maintaining that, and then at the same time taking care of everyone and finding, like Richie said, taking care of ourselves, whether it's
Mhm.
our physical needs, uh,
Mhm.
or that time of month, or even just being able to decompress. I think we carry the load, we
Mhm.
carry
Mhm.
um, for our kids, for even sometimes for your partner,
Mhm.
um, and that's I think that's something that is universal, whether it's taught or whether
Mhm.
it's in naturally, whether it comes naturally. I think that we're
Mhm.
just this is this is how we function. I feel like
Yes. Yes.
in
Yes.
general, it's
Mhm.
I've seen this meme where you have like 37 tabs open, there's music playing somewhere, like because moms are,
Multitasking.
yeah, we're always, and
Mhm.
sometimes we don't do that as well, but now
Mhm.
this is kind of refocused us, reminding us what's important, and doing all these different things at once. Now we can focus our efforts in just getting through this time. So it's
Absolutely. Mhm. And women are giving more nowadays.
yeah, we are. I mean, we give more of ourselves.
Mhm.
Even if all of us are in quarantine,
Mhm.
I can actually say I know so many of my friends and so many women who haven't left their house, but they're managing relief efforts.
Mhm.
Organizing, connecting people.
Mhm.
That's outside of what you're taking care of in the house. So yeah, we
They're
are doing
still,
more
yes, they're still everywhere, figuratively.
figuratively.
Yes. Miss Matek, apart
Yes.
from being an educator, you are also into wellness. So
Yes.
personally, how do you cope in this kind of situation wherein it's an increasing challenge to take a break from the constant negative news cycle and remain positive?
Okay, I've always believed that knowledge is
Mm,
one of the things that actually helps you manage your fear.
mm,
Now, the bad thing about no, yeah, I would say the bad thing about the current digital age is, fake news has muddled knowledge,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and because it has muddled knowledge, it increases the fear of people. So I have, I'm into several chat groups, whether my friends, my college, high school classmates, even my colleagues in the university.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, you get all sorts of stuff there. So to manage my stress and fear, alam mo, stress nakakapangit. Okay, and the last thing you want to be ugly in this quarantine, right? So
Yes.
what I do is every time I see anything, I verify.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You see, fake news is like carrier of virus. They just have this. Sometimes I have these friends who just send it off, share
Mm-hmm.
without thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it in a couple of, like, there was this chat group I had. Pinatay na isang tao. Man, hindi pa patay yung tao. And you start sharing, oh, he died, da 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 da. I said, oh, what
Mm-hmm.
the heck? So I had to
It,
check it out. I
mm-hmm.
checked it out 3 times. I checked
Mm-hmm.
out several. Who was the source, where did the source come from, and
Mm-hmm.
all this other stuff. So I verified it was untrue. So I immediately called up that friend
Mm-hmm.
because like from where you are, how to
Mm-hmm.
manage stress. You have to just tell people. See, can you just stop? Can you just first verify?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, several times from different sources.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only time you share. Because sometimes everybody is just so trigger happy. Parang,
Correct.
and I'm sadly to say, a lot of them are my
Mm-hmm.
age group. Yung ba, ang
Mm-hmm.
bibilis mag-see, forward,
Want to be the
forward.
first.
I
Yes.
know, right? And go, why? Is there a race here somewhere? You gotta be the first one to say it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I said it first, and it's
Mm-mm.
not true.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And then you end up apologizing, which is really, really sad.
Mm-mm.
Technically, I'm in a high risk group already when it comes to
Mm-mm.
this corona thing. So I have to stay constantly healthy. So what I'm doing is, first I couldn't go out. A couple of days I couldn't go out. Di ba,
Mm-mm.
bawal lumabas.
Yes.
So I rediscovered the activity I used to do before long, like 20 years ago. No, 30
Mm-hmm.
years ago. Step.
That's
That step
nice.
dance. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yung
yes, yes, yes.
step hero. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
what I did was I looked for it online. And the Jane Fonda stuff. And then I saw
Mm-mm.
there's a step between the veranda and then the dining room. I used that for the step. So I put my
Mm-hmm.
computer in front of the table. I started doing step arrow for like
Mm-hmm.
45 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah.
every
So
day, every day.
yes, because I couldn't go out. When we were allowed to go
Mm-mm.
out, start walking, then we started
Mm-mm.
walking. Before that, I was like
Mm-mm.
doing something I haven't done in like 20 years.
Mm-hmm. So there is something positive that came out of this
You
situation.
have no choice.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
You just have to keep staying hopeful because
Mm-mm.
once you give up, then
That's it.
that's it. So you
Mm-hmm.
just keep hopeful. And
Absolutely true.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that's
But
how
yes, yes, ma'am.
that's it.
Mm-hmm. And realize that this pandemic is also an opportunity for us to pause, reset, and transform our lives for the better.
It's really to quiet down. I think we've lived such a frenzied life. I've lived a
Mm-mm.
frenzied life for the last, oh my god.
Mm-mm.
I think I started being frenzied at 8. So that's kind of like the last 53 years, okay?
At 8.
Yes.
Okay.
At grade 2, makulit na ako. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been at this like, very frenzied, very active,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Mm-hmm.
tells you to slow down. And it gives you, I think the quiet, for some people, the quiet, it can be deafening.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
but I think, and that's why I turned to prayer.
Mm-hmm.
hmm I have a different kind of prayer. I look
Mm-hmm.
at songs for prayer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some people do the rosary. Some people, meditate. My type of prayer is song. So I'm not I'm not advertising, but I
Mm-hmm.
always turn to Bukas Palad. Where there's always, I use that for when I do retreat, and it kind of works for me. So it kind of keeps me strong. So,
Yes.
so physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
Best time to reflect.
Yes, very.
Thank you for sharing that. So, Michelle, are there any changes now when it comes to managing your finances? Like, do you have different ways to approach things now? Like before, me, for grocery shopping, it's good for an extended period na, which has not been the case before.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm a freelancer, right? So with what I do, uh, all of my projects have come to a screeching halt, rightfully so, because this is a time where we all need to stop and hit that pause button, pay attention, see what's working, what's not working. So even my income, of course, has been put on pause, literally. And for me, it's not just about managing what is here, what I do spend. It's also about stretching that even further, right? Something simple. You mentioned food shopping. So I'm so much more deliberate in my list, of course, and because we're not going out, you're not just going to run out. You don't have an ingredient for what you're making. I have learned to stretch, a meal out of necessity. I mean, not that I was wasteful before. One thing I really, it's my kids know also, zero waste. There are people that are starving. I'm not going to waste food. God blessed us with that food, and I'm going to make sure we make the most of it, and we're grateful for it. So stretching it. A simple way for us that I've done it for me in the kitchen, because I've kind of focused in on preparing the meals. I have so much more time now.
And you're more creative.
I'm trying to be, right? Of course. Something as simple as a roasted chicken that, the drippings and the vegetables that you roast with it become soup the next day. Another meal, like taking those potatoes and those carrots and putting them in a soup with the chicken carcass and then the drippings, which are so flavorful. My kids were so surprised the other day. They really I make roasted chicken at least once a week, but the next day I guess it must have smelled so delicious because they came into the kitchen 3 times. I'm like, guys, it's just soup. It's just, or like, even them learning to appreciate that, right? So that's like making sure my money stretches, being resourceful in the kitchen, and being much more mindful. Of course, in the future, now, as a freelancer, I also am looking at, how am I going to manage my money better in the future? Because, God forbid something like this happens again. I'd rather be more prepared than less prepared.
Correct. And that's a smart thing to do. And
absolutely.
Plus, if a woman is expected to handle the finances and manage it, we're expected as well to have the skill, which you do.
Correct. I want to get better at that.
You will. We all will. All right. Hershey, you still have your co-working space business, right? I'd like to know, how are you handling the enhanced quarantine situation? I mean, has it changed the way you do business now?
So I have a lot of time in my hands right now because we had to stop operations because the very nature of our business is a co-working.
Yes.
So it's like physical interaction, right? So we had to stop it, and so I have a lot of time in my hands right now. So what I've been doing is I joined a group of vloggers, and then we started doing donation drives. So we were able to reach. Yeah, we were able to, like what you said. So we were able to reach 600,000 pesos in just 3 hours.
Wow!
And
3 hours.
yeah, it's amazing. And we were able to give it to the people na no work, no pay. The people who really need financial assistance at the moment. So the jeepney drivers, and we also supported yung mga frontliners. So that's what I've been busy with right now. And I wanted our business to join a relief operations as well.
Mhm.
So my business RL Trip co-working space, what we
Mhm.
did was we started launching this online gift card.
Mm,
So
mhm.
I read about it a few weeks ago. The
Mm,
new norm of businesses now to cope with the pandemic is to
mm.
release gift cards that people can buy now and then
Use
use later
later.
on.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so that you at least you have sales going on this month.
Mhm.
And what
Mm,
we did was we would sell these online gift cards, so that
mm.
they are packages, and then one third of those actually proceed to our donation drive.
Mhm.
So we're giving one third of that to our doctors to the barrio.
Wow.
So that's
Great
our
going.
chosen.
Mhm. Mhm.
So like the rural health units in the far-flung provinces.
Mm. The most
So
affected. Mhm.
yeah, because they don't
Mm,
have testing kits, they don't have
mm,
hospital beds. So we really want to reach out to them. And I was
mhm.
surprised actually that a lot of people have been buying the gift cards and
Mhm.
then um, joining the donation drive.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's, if you're a business owner, that's one thing that you can really try, yung gift cards, and then
Mhm.
you join the relief ops and actually give back to the community.
And support the SMEs, the local SMEs as well.
Yes, and
Mhm.
aside from that, our business also, since we stopped, right, we
Mhm.
still made it a point to give our staff their full
Mhm.
salary, because
Mm.
that's one way to earn their loyalty. And you have
Mhm.
to support your staff because it's a crisis right now, it's an emergency,
Correct.
and their family really need it.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Mhm.
Okay. The other thing that I want to bring perspective to is that since there are changes in the consumer behavior and the way we do things now, are there new business opportunities specifically for us women that may have sprouted as a result of COVID-19? Would like to answer first?
I heard this girl, this woman, she
Mm-hmm.
shifted her sewing
Mm-hmm.
business to making
Mm-hmm.
masks
Mm-hmm. Yes.
because more and more people are asking for masks. Recently,
Mm-hmm.
Nograles, Cabsec Nograles just said that everybody who
Mm-hmm.
goes out, regardless, has to wear a mask. So there's going to
Mm-hmm.
be a pick on masks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty good. I thought I was, she did it
Yes.
primarily to keep
Mm-hmm.
her staff, uh,
Mm-hmm.
to keep activity going so that
Mm-hmm.
her staff could still earn a living.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Earn and
something.
at the same time
Yeah.
help.
So you look at what are the activity. You look at what you could do out there,
Mm-hmm.
okay, within your area,
Mm-hmm.
and because the need is very clear, the needs are very clear around you. So, for example, I know like Magnolia, or yeah, or food companies have already started calling out to people who would like to be the local distributor in
Mm-hmm.
their communities.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
rather than them going out of their areas, going to supermarkets or groceries, what will happen is these food manufacturers can deliver to your home, and then you become the outlet. So even if you're an outlet for 10 homes, 20
Mm-hmm.
homes,
Mm-hmm.
diba, still both you do a service.
Mm-hmm.
You actually are becoming entrepreneurial, but at the same time doing service to your community. So
Mm-hmm.
there, the needs are very clear. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
question of sabi nga ni Steve Jobs, you connect the right dots and you get.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So those are the things I've heard so far.
Mhm. Okay. And this
And
kind
that's
of
a good.
fuels the next wave of innovation and ideas.
Well,
Mhm.
I think the new normal will start kicking in, and so other things start to come in. So, for
Mhm.
example, in terms of I'm into education. Online
Mhm.
education is like freaking everybody out. Okay,
Mhm.
because webinars is one thing.
Right.
Mhm.
Actually teaching an hour and a half class. Like my class
Mhm.
in Mother Tongue is 3 hours
Mhm.
straight. I mean, I can do that easily face to face.
Mhm.
But doing it online was like I was trying to imagine it, and I actually had a chat with my kids, and I said, "Be honest with me. Can you actually last 3 hours online?"
And
listening to a lecture. And then they
mm-hmm.
said, no. I said, I knew it. So I just wanted to verify that.
Yeah.
And so
Mm-hmm.
things will adjust. So if it's one thing to do a video call like this
Mm-hmm.
among the five of us, it's
Mm-hmm.
another to try and lecture about marketing for like
Mm-hmm.
even
Right.
an hour. And, live nga may natutulog na eh. I have to like wake up children, di ba?
Some things never change.
I mean, live nga yung they doze off, right? So I
Yes.
actually near them and I kind of like increase the volume of my voice and suddenly they wake up. How do you do that online, right?
That's funny.
I'm not gonna call. I mean, I'm not about to call out and say, "Child, you are asleep." Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wake up.
Yeah. So things,
Mm-hmm.
will I think facilities like this will adjust,
Mm-hmm.
wherein you allow more interaction
Mm-hmm.
because usually you don't. Okay, most meetings like this would be tops 12 people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Even
Yes.
well, yeah, you can do convention, but it's kind of hard. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
these are college kids, and so then how do you grade them based on that?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Correct.
What a
So
challenge. So I
yeah,
totally see why it freaks people out. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
on that side, if you're the educator.
Mm-hmm.
I think even my kids, though, you were asking your kids, my kids' online classes,
Mm-hmm.
they started and they were attending, and then at some point they stopped also.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're not attending any online classes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is, like you said, the adjustment. It's an
and
adjustment
then
all over. And I think also we're going to see what's more necessary and what's not,
Mm-hmm.
what's superfluous and what we don't need.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
there will be a lot more work given to the
Mm-hmm.
child now
mm,
because before we would really just assume that they've read and
mhm,
that
Mm-hmm.
you explain.
mhm,
Now that there's going to be this distance, the assumption is no longer just an assumption. I mean, if you don't read,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and you're not gonna get it.
right.
You're not gonna get it, and therefore there's going to be a lot more work on the part of the students. So the slackers will, will sorry, but the slackers will
Mm-hmm.
just fall off the road, and the good
Mm-hmm.
ones will survive.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely
yeah.
true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, education is one of the biggest because schools are first play. Okay, crowds are not allowed. Schools are one of the biggest crowd drawers, so that's the first thing
Mm-hmm.
that's going to, be closed down.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yes.
but even in the times of COVID, right, the kids are
Mm-hmm.
the ones that are actually carrying it,
Mm-hmm.
carrying the virus, and
Oh,
they don't, whether or not they
Mm-hmm.
have symptoms, they're
Mm-hmm.
still carriers, which of course
Mm-hmm.
can infect other people. So
Mm-hmm.
I think all these things considered, the changes that will come about, of course, there's challenges,
Mm-hmm.
not just for educators, but for small business owners or entrepreneurs, right,
Mm-hmm.
Hershey? Um, I do believe there's the silver lining or even the human ingenuity that we'll be able
Yes.
to surprise each other with the
Mm-hmm.
different things that we come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
There's more empathy nowadays.
definitely,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I think we all need that. Yes.
Yeah.
there's
Mm-hmm.
more humanity. I'd like to call it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Praise God.
Yes.
Praise God for that.
I think that's what happens when we start
Mm-hmm.
becoming inhuman. You
Mm-hmm.
start forgetting our who we are, and then
Mm-hmm.
boom, God gives you a plague and said, "Guys, we're forgetting something here."
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
suddenly, oh yeah, sorry. So, yeah.
Like
And
what you mentioned earlier, it's the best time to reflect. Yeah, yes, Hershey.
speaking of the entrepreneurial or business
Mm-hmm.
opportunities, the
Mm-hmm.
question earlier,
Mm-hmm.
I agree, no, that today there's more humanity. And I
Mm-hmm.
actually have a friend, she owns a home massage service.
Mm-hmm.
So usually the therapists, they're driven by the drivers, they go to the houses. But of
Mm-hmm.
course, now they had to stop operations. But they wanted
Mm-hmm.
to support their staff. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, for a small business, it's so hard to support your staff if there's no
Yes. Mm-mm.
cash flowing in. So
Mm-mm.
what they did is they changed the whole business. So
Mm-hmm.
just for now, in the meantime, the drivers and the husbands of the therapists, the app can be used for grocery runs.
Wow.
So instead of booking a home massage,
Mm-mm.
they book grocery services.
So
So
they,
it's one way to help us.
yeah, it kind
Just
of
you will,
produce a disruptive side effect.
Yeah, and it's the whole business has changed, and it's really
Mm-hmm.
just to cope with this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And I also see a lot of online shops.
Mm-mm.
For example, there's this luxury pajama line, so they're
Mm-hmm.
known for making yung mga bridal gowns. I mean, bridal lingerie, bridal
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
robes. But
Mm-mm.
now they're doing PPE.
Mm-mm.
So you really have to change your business to fit on what people really need right now, and that's PPE, that's
Mm-mm.
grocery. And for us, we're a co-working space.
Mm-mm.
We were thinking people at home right now, like the millennials, my generation, they're really like, parang what to do, and they really want
Correct.
to do something at home. So now
Mm-hmm.
we're launching online classes. So, di ba, we're a co-working space, but now
Mm-mm.
we're launching online classes. So, next week, Aral Trip will be conducting stand-up
Mm-hmm.
comedy workshop.
Wow.
So,
had that one.
and so like for something that people can do at home, kasi they parang mas nakaka-anxious when you don't know what to do,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
they like for my generation, we're always like a go-getter. We want to do something,
Yes.
and
Mm-mm.
parang this is something to keep them busy.
Mm-mm. And you're learning.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. And you're
Yeah.
learning,
Yes.
learning the process.
Mm-mm. And I
There's
see
that.
also, Michelle, in one of your blogs, you're sharing some websites wherein you can go to the zoo, you can watch an opera. But
Yeah,
there's so many things that you can do.
yeah. So this is actually the time too where I'm definitely more hands on with the things that I'm exposing my kids to, right? So if you can't travel, the beauty in the humanity that everybody is taking part in, with museums giving free tours, and
Mm-mm.
the Paris Opera was they're every week they have a different opera
Mm-hmm.
for that's free that you can view online. One thing that we're taking advantage of in terms of learning, right, and this ingenuity is uh, we've given my kids all opportunities to choose a documentary, and so
Mm-hmm.
every afternoon we watch a documentary together
Mm-hmm.
and we share it. Well, like we watch it and we share our thoughts
Mm-hmm.
afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And this one documentary that I was privileged to watch when I attended Sundance is called
Mm-hmm.
Crip Camp. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, so in my line of work, in my advocacy, the rights of the individual is very important for us. And I saw so many parallels from the US in the 70s and the 80s, and then in
Mm-hmm.
1990 when the American
Mm-hmm.
Disabilities Act was finally signed.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted my kids to realize that, because there are parallels to that time in American history, and then parallels to what's going on here in the Philippines for individuals with
Mm-hmm.
intellectual and developmental
Mm-hmm.
disabilities. So we had this long discussion, and they really had no idea. Like, just
Mm-hmm.
exposing them to the documentaries or the things to do
Mm-hmm.
online, or learning something new like stand-up comedy. This is
Mm-hmm.
the byproduct of us
Mm-hmm.
all being cooped up at home,
Mm-hmm.
where we still want to learn and experience the world. We're just doing it now through the grace of people gifting those experiences to us.
Correct. Yes, definitely. So, but I'm also curious. What was your schedule like before COVID?
I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, usually.
Mm-hmm.
That also because that comes of age. Uh, but I'm up at 4. I'm usually in the gym by 5:30. I'm
Wow.
Yes, I have a workout routine, and then I should be done by 7. I should be showering, then off to work, which is very close by. Stay there till about 7, then pick up my son, who by the way is system, but he works. So I pick him up in the restaurant at about 8. So that is gone.
Mhm.
Right?
How has it been now?
I was climbing the wall. Okay. When I realized it was gone, the first thing I did was I sent my trainer a text and I said, make me a workout program for the house.
Mhm.
And I said, Matek, do you have dumbbells? I said, well done, no, because I go to the gym. Why will I buy dumbbells? So he says, okay, so you have to make homemade dumbbells. So what he
Mhm.
said was, why don't you buy a pair of 2 liter bottles,
Mhm.
or a liter bottle, and fill them up with either water or sand.
Mhm.
That works
Mhm.
as a dumbbell. And so he gave me a whole workout, and so that's what I did. That's what I do
Mhm.
in the morning. I would do what he works because, yeah, kasi I was nasisira yung ulo ko. Eh. Sabi ko, "Oh my God." And I know I'm
Yes.
a creature of habit,
Mhm.
such a creature of habit. So when you take away my routine,
Mhm.
it just imba- puts me out of balance. So
Mhm.
when he
Mhm.
gave me that, so the first thing I did, the first grocery I bought, because I already have stock. The first grocery I bought was those
Mhm.
bottles of water, and they're now my dumbbells. Yes, the 2 liter, the big one.
Yes.
Seriously,
Mhm.
now they're too light. But anyway, yeah. So
Mhm.
that was my. So now my kind of shifted it.
Mhm.
So I sleep longer because I said like okay,
Mhm.
so that I may have able to stretch my day. I sleep longer now,
Mhm.
which is good.
Mhm.
Good for the skin,
Yes.
for the body,
Mhm.
and then I
And good
do
for the immune system also.
exactly.
Yes.
But okay. The other thing that changed was I had to cut down on my intake.
Mm. Mhm.
First thing to good health is actually
Mhm.
contrary
Mhm.
to what most people think that you can't you can't outwork out a bad diet.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
I've down meal.
Mhm.
I just now take rice for lunch.
Mhm. Mhm. That's good. Mhm.
I cut down. I never snack, so
Mhm.
I needed to snack it, but I just cut down on every. I'm just counting the calories.
Mhm. Wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Very inspiring. Hershey, how about you?
Well, I've always been busy as a person. Like before this happened, I wouldn't know how my day would look like because it's really different per day.
Mhm.
Sometimes
Mhm.
I go to school, sometimes I have to be at the store to open and
Mhm.
close. Sometimes I have to go on shoots and all that.
Mhm.
And now that we're in quarantine, it made me actually more anxious because
Mhm.
the routine has changed and
Mhm.
my whole lifestyle has changed.
Mhm.
And parang I actually I follow a lot of psychologists on
Mhm.
Instagram and they've been
Mhm.
sharing like what you can do to go back to your center.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
been happening to me is because I've been so busy. Like
Mhm.
yun ang kasanayan ko.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and now that I don't get anything productive done,
Mhm.
I feel bad. I feel like I'm very unproductive. I feel like nothing good is happening, and
Mhm.
that's gonna start parang may anxiety. And
Mhm.
when I read somewhere and it said na you are not just working from home,
Mhm.
you are working from home during a time of pandemic, and
Mhm.
that's a
Correct.
big difference. So you don't have to pressure yourself na why are
Mhm.
you not productive, why are you not busy, why can't you accomplish as much things as you were able to accomplish before,
Mhm.
because there's a
Mhm.
crisis going on and right now
Correct.
all you need to do is survive.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I followed the psychologist and what he said was you can start by doing bite-sized tasks.
Mhm.
So imbis na yung goal mo is something big, just
Mhm.
make it bite-sized. For example, you
Start
want
small. Mhm.
Yeah. So you want to read a book and you can't finish it. Start with 5 pages. You
Mm-hmm.
want to write, start with 5 sentences.
Mm-hmm.
Para lang you get it going na
Mm-hmm.
start small. And
Correct.
right now, that's what I've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps to follow psychologists on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram kasi they give all these tips on your mental health.
I think I might have to follow one of those psychologists that you follow also. And besides, it's our civic duty as well to be part of the solution by nakita ko nga there's a meme that we are not stuck at home, we are safe at home. So we just have to be grateful as well that we are with our family. But how are things, what are the things actually that you miss the most?
Can I just say, sorry, can I just say that actually I'm busier now? Yes, because I now have
Mm-mm.
bought, okay, so I work for the university.
Mm-mm.
Even if there's no school, we're doing other stuff. So in Atenea, we're doing donation stuff, we're doing
Mm-hmm.
PP, because suddenly the disaster
Mm-hmm.
response team kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so, because I'm in charge of communication,
Mm-hmm.
I'm now doing all the, connecting the different units together,
Mm-hmm.
making sure coming out, all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never worked so hard
Mm-mm.
in my life, even before this. Because I used to
Mm-mm.
work for, at then my bosses, Father, I've never worked this hard. Kasi usually
Mm-mm.
nasa ahensya, uwi na ako ng
Mm-mm.
6.
Mm-mm.
Now I'm, at 10 o'clock, I'm still like, waiting for something to be done, finishing up the memo, finishing up the
I
communication.
would have to agree on that. Mm.
Work so hard. Yeah. But don't worry, I thrive on work anyway. But I just realized that this work from home is a little
Mm-hmm.
underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, is underrated. I mean, because we just shift gear.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And some of the things that are available in the office are not available at home. So you just have to make do with what's available right now.
Exactly. So now we have to talk about suddenly people are just because we have to make things come together. My group has to
Mm-hmm.
make things come together because we're comms and we're marketing. Suddenly it's like, oh my god, we have to do this, we have to do this better. Oh my god, that's ugly. Let's do it this way and all this other stuff. People are locked down, so it has to be more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it's what do I miss? It's the same. I just miss my gym and my swimming pool, but otherwise
Mm-hmm.
I just
I
miss
bet
the
that would be the first thing that you're going to do after this is
I'm gonna
all
jump
over.
into the pool as soon as this thing is locked down. I'm gonna go to the clubhouse and just jump into the pool, but I'm just dying to get some cardio.
Correct. Michelle, what you? What are the
Um,
things that you miss the most outside?
well, of course, I miss going out. I miss the sun. We're in a condo.
Yes.
We're in a condo, so
Mm-hmm.
and because Jelly has Down syndrome, her immune
Mm-hmm.
system,
Mm-hmm.
um, sh- we've actually been on lockdown
Mm-hmm.
earlier than everyone else because of her immune system. So once
Mm-hmm.
school started calling off classes,
Mm-hmm.
nobody left the condo anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost coming on a month for us that we haven't gone down.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm gonna say what I miss the most, besides
Mm-hmm.
the sun, would be
Mm-hmm.
the fresh fruits and vegetables. Having that every day. So of
Mm-hmm.
course, like we have the gift of
Mm-hmm.
ingenuity and supply and demand. Now we have
Mm-hmm.
fruit and vegetable delivery, which
Mm-hmm.
is fantastic. I'm
Yes.
grateful for that, but of course not as often
Mm-hmm.
as you'd like. I combined orders with a friend of mine who knew
Mm-hmm.
some farmers directly. So we were
Mm-hmm.
able to organize in the complex people who
Mm-hmm.
were going to order together
Mm-hmm.
these fresh vegetables. But
Mm-hmm.
we were supposed to take delivery on Saturday, and
Mm-hmm.
then Saturday became Monday. Monday, they wouldn't let them into BGC, so it became Tuesday. So sayang the vegetables, many of
Mm-hmm.
them
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't accept or we couldn't accept delivery because
Yes.
we were already getting rotten.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think just the if I'm gonna say what I miss the most is
Mm-hmm.
just fresh items, which I
Mm-hmm.
know again is it's a privilege
Mm-hmm.
at this time, but that's also a way for us to keep and build our immunity is by eating properly, getting the right sleep, and managing the
Correct.
stress, and yun lang, even just the vitamin D from the sun. I don't have
Definitely
to,
true.
yeah, it's just that. So I try and sit near the window a lot.
Mhm.
You have a nice spot.
How about you, Hershey? What do you miss the most?
I miss the little things. Like I miss like shaking hands. I'm a
Mm,
very hug person, a
you're a
besa.
hugger.
Yeah, I'm a hugger. And as an extrovert, I really miss being around people. The very nature of my business is a co-working
Mm-mm.
space. I miss being around people. And I read an article. It said that the reason why we feel uncomfortable right now, like for a lot of
Mm.
social people, why we feel uncomfortable, it's actually grief
Mhm.
because we are social beings,
Mm.
humans, right? We
Mm.
have anniversaries and birthdays and
Mm.
proms and all these celebrations coming together, and that's taken away from us. And
Mhm.
that's why we feel so uncomfortable because our whole routine, our whole life
Mm.
has changed.
Mm.
So yeah, I just really miss being around people.
Yes. And it's
My
part of our
family.
culture,
My,
eh.
yeah.
We tend to celebrate little things like in the office. If your boss says, "Oh, good job. Oh, let's celebrate after this." Yung mga
Yeah.
ganun, yung mga small things.
Samgyupsal after office.
Correct. That's right. That's right. Since you have all mentioned that we are all in isolation, we are all kind of stressed out. So, what's the best tip that you can give to people right now who are going through uncertainties? Something to keep in mind and uplift our viewers.
The uncertainty
Ano?
is there.
Mhm.
It always has been. I mean, it's kind of like
Mm.
it wasn't there day one,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So I think it is just really just refocusing on what you can control, what you are in
Mhm.
control of, and
Mhm.
focus on that. So that means family, your surroundings, keep things clean, your health. Kung kaya mo kontrolin, o yun naman, I
Mhm.
don't want to use word. The one that you can manage, the one you go agency on,
Mhm.
ahead, diba? And then again, I said earlier, prayer is always good.
Mhm.
Prayer is
Yes.
always
Mhm.
there's a thing about prayer being able to just
Mhm.
and it doesn't
Mhm.
matter who you pray to. Father
Mhm.
Jenna, our president, is just saying that you just don't pray to God. You pray to your partner, you pray to your
Mhm.
family. You pray to each other because
Mhm.
that's the thing.
Mhm.
That's giving respect
Mhm.
to each other.
Mhm.
Diba? Kasi you think prayer is just limited to God and
Mhm.
family. Those people who matter.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so that one to me was very enlightening.
Mhm. Mhm.
And me, I just sorry, but I just refuse to say what date is it. The
Mhm.
only reason I had to check the date is just to make sure I was here on the right date. But
If you have a
otherwise,
meeting.
to me, it's just one day at a time,
Mm,
and I'm
mm,
not counting because now
mm,
sabi nga nila, I manage my expectations now.
mm, mm,
Because if you manage your expectations, then you manage your feelings and your emotions.
mm. Beautiful, beautiful.
Pero ako, to me, the biggest thing is just to have that faith and just feel that
Mm, mm,
it's coming. It's
mm,
gonna
mm. You just have to lift everything to the higher power.
and believe in yourself. Yeah, him
Yes.
and yourself, and
Mm,
that matters.
mm, correct. Mm. Beautiful. Michelle?
Well, I think I've definitely become more prayerful. So if
Mm-hmm,
it's some tips that
mm-hmm,
that I would share, um, even with each birth of my child,
mm-hmm,
each birth of my children, I became more and more prayerful because I realized how much was really outside of my control. Once you
mm-mm,
have
mm-mm,
kids and you realize you cannot um, control their surroundings or protect them completely,
mm-hmm,
uh,
mm-hmm,
you just turn towards God and and pray for that. If I'm going to give 4 tips, actually, I think 4 tips. There are things. This is what our pastor said actually a couple of weeks ago, and I really clung to it because I think in this situation with all this uncertainty, just to kind of reiterate what Matek said, is really to be grateful. You know, count your blessings. Meditate on the whole purpose of all of this. So meditate could be your prayer. Meditate could be listening to your music. Meditate could be taking a bath with candles. Meditate could be, reading a book that you find inspiring or gives you hope. And then, of course, being kind, right? And trusting, being kind to everyone, which is where that humanity comes in.
Yes.
Being kind to yourself for not being as productive or like, doing all these other things that you used to be able to do, and now it's kind of you're adjusted. So, and then of course trusting in the process, because this this too shall pass, and we will come out of it, and we'll come out of it better people to one another, more kinder, more kind, and more empathetic. So for those 4 tips, I feel like they have been it's helpful. So gratitude, meditating, trusting the process, and of course being kind to ourselves and to others, in any way possible. Could be, we are helping connect people, or it could be just giving someone an ear to listen.
Correct. And if I may add also, just have to embrace at the same time our failures. This is the best time to reflect, like what Miss Matic was saying earlier. So being grateful, counting your blessings, meditate, and being kind. It's definitely true. Yes. Hershey?
Well, I want to, ang ganda ng sinabi niya. Like, all of that, that's really correct. And yung humanity talaga, as a business owner, it was really hard kasi we're a small business and we're fairly new, and then we had to stop operations, and I was really anxious about that. But parang I was reminded to always, keep your humanity and support your staff kasi they really need the help right now. So even though walang operations, we still gave them their full salary. And then I was praying to God na parang, Lord, paano yan? Na paano yung rent, paano yung electricity, and all these bills you have to pay. And then I was so surprised. I got the message last night that our landlady, she waived the rent for this month.
Wow.
So parang you see all these people helping together, and parang sometimes you just really have to trust parang God will provide for you, and that people will come together and help one another.
Correct.
And so parang I want, it was such a blessing. Goosebumps. And then of course, like what you said earlier, in my generation, kasi millennials, we're always concerned about being busy, being go-getter, but you have to be kind to yourself and know that right now is not the season to accomplish all these many things. Right now is the season to stay safe and survive. And if what you do for the day is just one little task or just survive, that's okay, as long as you're healthy.
Yes, staying healthy is indeed a blessing now.
Yes, it is. And if all you did today was change out of your nighttime pajamas into your daytime pajamas, that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Definitely okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, it has been a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for agreeing to be part of this episode and sharing so openly the powerful and inspiring words. So we love hearing all of these insights. I'm sure everyone who are tuned in learned a lesson or two. I guess as for my part, my take on this is that we should live our purpose with a lot of passion and just savor the small moments.
Amen.
Yeah.
Sure was.
So
Thank you. Nice meeting you, ladies.
Thank you.
on that note, Thank you everyone for tuning in. Please stay safe and keep healthy. And let's say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you in a couple.